Today's project is going to be Chinese checkers, completely out of beads. Here you can see that you can take these off. This is made with 4mm beads, and the marbles are 6mm beads. I find that you just use one size larger for your marbles. So for 6mm beads, if you choose to make it, you would use 8mm, and for 8mm beads, you'd use 10. I did test, and the actual marbles will work if you make it out of 8mm, if you'd like to use real marbles. Here I have it made out of crystal, and as this was a display piece, I actually went a little large with the marbles. They are 8mm with 4mm beads. So they're a little, if you wanted to play, they'd be a little difficult to get to each one because they're a little large. So here I have my beads. You need 44 of 6 different colors, and you need 516 for the background. And here I've numbered the colors, so you can choose whichever colors you want, and then you'll just follow along according to the number. The string I will be using is fishing line. I like to use either 10 or 12 pound with my plastic faceted beads, which is what I will be using to create, and which this one is made from. I don't have an actual pattern, so you'll need to follow along as I go, and here we go. We're going to start with background. So we're going to add your starter bead, which you'll let drop. Then you'll put one bead on each string. I prefer the 2-needle version because it's easiest and takes less time, because with the 1 needle you actually have to go back through beads over and over again, so it takes longer. Then you put one on each string again, and then you will cross the last one. And we have our first circle. Now we will put a bead on each string, and again, and then we will cross. There we go. Now we're going to add this small row while we're beading this row. So this next one we're going to do slightly different. So we're going to add 1 to this string, but we're going to add 3 to this string. We'll let those drop, and then we're going to cross. I'm working with about 6 feet of string. I find that to be the easiest for me. So now we're going to add 4 to this string. And just so, in case you get your strings mixed up, you want it coming out on this one here, which is coming down towards your finished 2 rows. That's the one you'll add your 4 to, and then you will cross one, now we want to connect to the row we've already started, so we go through the top bead with the same string that's on the same side as it. And then as we go, we want to keep our rows to the right, and then when we bring our strings up, we have them in the correct position for adding our beads. So we're going to add the next one. We're going to add 3 to this one. wait a minute. I don't have a pattern, so I may get a little mixed up in what I'm doing occasionally, but we want to add a background and 2 number 1 colors. And then we are going to cross with a background. Alright, and now we want to go through the top one of the small row. And the string coming out this side of the small row, we want to add 2 background colors. One number 1 color, and then we are going to cross with a number 1. Oops, wrong string. And there we have the top of our triangle. Okay, now with the same string coming on this side, we want to go through the top bead of our row we're working on. There we go. And now we're going to use all number 1. So we will add 3. And cross with 1. Right, and now we will thread through the top of our small row. And this time we're going to add to the string coming out the same side as your small row, we're going to add 3 background color, and we are going to cross with a background color. And then with the string on the same side as it, we're going to go through the top bead of the row we're working on. Now we're going to add a yellow, followed by 2 background. And then we are going to cross with a background. We go through the top of our small row. And now we're going to add the last circle for our small row. So this string here, we're going to add 3 background colors, and we're going to cross with a background color. Now that finishes up our small row. And we'll go through the top of our row we're working on. And now that our small row is done, make sure it is to the right. Take your strings up. And then you will add 1 background color to this side, 2 background colors to this side, and you will cross. Now you will notice that one of your strings is slightly smaller than the other. If you want, you can cut them so that they're the same length, but that is because you added this row as you went. It caused one string to get longer than the other. Alright, now I'm going to finish off the row we're on. We'll add 2 beads to each string. And cross. And then, as this is our last circle for this row, we are going to add, and our next row is slightly longer, so we're going to add 1 bead to this side, 3 beads to this side, and cross. And now we're ready to begin our next row. So we're going to take the string coming out, the top or bottom, depending on which side, but to the end, and we are going to add 4 background colors to it. And then with both strings, we will cross background color. And there we have begun our next row. Now we want to go through what I call our connecting beads. You want to go through 2, so that's 1, and you want to use the string that's on the same side as them. And then we will add 2 background colors and cross with a background color. Then go through our connecting beads. And repeat. Right, now this next circle here, we're going to need to add some yellow. So we need 1 background color, 1 number 1, and then we're going to cross with number 1. Now we'll use all number 1, so we'll add 2 number 1s and cross with a number 1. this time we only need one, number 1, and then we return to background color. Now as we've come to the end of our first previous row, we're only going to go through one connecting bead this time. And our next row is longer, so we're going to add one bead to each string and then cross. Now, as this next row is actually more than just one taller, we're going to have to end up here so that we can add this row. So, what we want to do is add 1 to this side and 3 to this side. And then we want to cross 1, and that puts us at the top of the circle we are on. Okay, somewhere I made a boo-boo. Hold up. Okay, we're going to take off the last row that you did on the previous. See what I did? Alright. Doing that again, we want to add 1 to this string, but we want to add 2 to this string. And then we cross. Alright. Should have noticed that before, but I missed it. Sorry about that. Now we will begin the new row again. Now, again, we'll add 1 to this string, 3 to this string, and cross. Alright, now we are at the beginning, top of the new one we're working on. Now I recommend, if your strings are still long, like mine are, that you take the long one, because it really doesn't matter which one you do. Take the long one and you're going to add 5 strings to it, beads to it. And now, noting which side the string you are using is coming out of, you're going to go through the opposite side so that when you're done, it's still coming out that same side. And there you have that extra circle on top of your pattern. Now you will thread back through this circle here. So you'll take your string on each side and go through 2 beads. Don't worry about if your piece gets loosened up, because you can tighten it as you go. And then you will cross this bead here. And now you're where you want to be to continue your row. So we'll go through our 2 connecting beads. Then we will add 2 background color and cross the background color. Go through our connecting beads. And we'll add background again. And now we will begin with yellow, so we'll add only 1 background color. And we'll add a number 1 and cross a number 1. Then we will continue to using number 1 until we reach the end of the yellow. We'll go back to our background, add 1 more number 1 and background color. previous row, so we're just going through one. And we'll add one to this side, two to this side, and cross. And now we will add our last circle, because it goes out just a little longer. So we'll add our last circle, and as our next row is slightly longer, we will add one to this string, three to this string, and we will cross with one. And there you've completed your previous row. Now you want to take the string coming out the shortest side, and we want to add, we're starting our green, yes, so we want to add 2 background color and 2 number 2 color. And then you want to cross with a background color. And there you have started your next row. Now you want to go through your 2 connecting beads. Then you will add 2 number 2 colors, and you will cross with a background color. And 2 number 2s, and cross with a background. Now we've come to our yellow, so we're going to add 2 number 2s, but cross this time with a yellow. Or number 1 color. Alright, after this circle I'm going to tie off as my string, my shorter string, is getting a little short to work with. So we'll add our number 1 color. And instead of crossing the bead, we're going to do our knot. So we'll go over once, bring this knot down. Then we'll go over twice, bring that knot down. Don't tighten it just yet. You want to take the string on the side of your last bead, go through it, and you want to snug your knot inside the bead and then pull tight. Now if you have beads with small holes that the knot will not fit inside, then I just recommend that you thread back through, which is what I need to do with the crystal. Now when you thread back through, which we're going to do a little bit here because I always thread back so that the knot doesn't come undone. When you have a knot, I only go back 2 or 3 circles. But when you need to thread back through without a knot, you want to go about 9 circles. With the crystal, I actually only go about 6 because it is very tight with the string that I use with it. And sometimes it even gets stuck, so I have to like go different directions with the string until I can get it back through enough beads. But you just thread back the way you came, and if you're threading back through without a knot, I recommend that you at least turn 1 time and work up a different row. That will help secure it more securely. But here I'm only going to go back 2 circles because I do have a knot. So it will be good and secure with just going back 2 circles. But if you can get the knot inside your bead, then I definitely recommend the knot because it takes less time that way. Alright, then we clip off our excess, and I'm going to end here, and we will pick up where we left off in the next video.